Hey guys, you are listening to the inaugural episode of BATrocity, and this is a podcast where I discuss anything and everything that I want to, from popular culture to things that piss me off. You know, if it's happened in my life and I'm aware of it, then I'm gonna discuss it. It's not gonna be pretty, but it's gonna be entertaining. So let's get right into it. Today's episode, we're gonna talk about Captain Marvel and all the issues and things that Brie Larson has stirred up with some of the comments she's made. We're talking about some R.Kelly stuff and all the news surrounding the interview that he had on CBS. And we'll talk about Michael Jackson and all the issues and things that are stirred up because of the stupid stuff that he did in the past. And I know he's dead and we should all let it go, but let's be honest, we are all still very interested in the things that he has potentially done in his past for whatever reason, whether good or bad. We'll talk about the LeBron James versus MJ debate and how people still seem to think that there's something worth debating, and I'm one of them. So yes, we will discuss all of that today. So yeah, let's just get right in it. So, all I gotta say about this Captain Marvel business is, this is funny. This shit is funny. And what I mean is, it's just hilarious that from every angle, you have the star, the lead actress of a movie, talking shit to the people who you would expect, the demographic you would expect most likely to be seeing the movie. It's bad business. And the thing is, it's bad business, but in my opinion, it's for a good cause. You know, she claims that it's for, diversity and stuff like that, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. I know a lot of people are like, no, how dare she do this? And it's like, yeah. And like, she's racist, she's sexist, and blah, 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 blah. But I don't know. I didn't take it that way. I thought the comments were stupid, but I didn't think that she was wrong. Yeah, there should be more diversity in the industry when it comes to people interviewing and things like that, and in many other areas. So I mean, it is what it is. If you hate it, whatever. But the truth is the truth. And at the end of the day, what's so bad about diversity? What's so bad about being PC? You know, I get it. If you're already the kind of person who's accepting of others, then you really have nothing to worry about. Unless you're like a racist piece of shit. That's the only way you should have a problem with PC culture bullshit. I hate it because I'm a black man and I'm tired of seeing PC shit, just like the racist white people are. We're equally tired, but for different reasons. I'm tired of it because I look at it like, racist people are going to be racist. I don't give a fuck. Let them be racist. Let them die racist. I don't fucking care about them. And from their perspective, they're thinking, or not from all of them, but many of them certainly, like, I'm not racist. What are you talking about? And it's like, dude, you're a racist. You just don't know it, or you're too stupid to accept it, or whatever. But Brie Larson and what she's trying to do, I think the bigger picture is, it's a business. Hollywood is a business. The movies that you come out with, they're all tied into business and making money and entertaining people. And if you have the major demographic of your movie as white males, then maybe you shouldn't complain about white males leading up to the movie. You feel me? It's common sense, right? And I get it. I get what she was saying. I totally agree with it. If there really is that little representation on the side of interviewers and things like that, people and critics and whatever, I get that. That's fine. You know, it's a nice thing for her to do, to stand up for the little guy. I get it. But there's a time and place for everything, and you got to think about the bottom line. And her profession, her career is that of an actor. She is selling her brand herself, however you want to look at it. And the people who would even think to hire her have to now factor in her mouth when they hire her. They have to think, is she going to say something that could be a detriment to the movie that we're about to put out? Is is the studio gonna like this stuff? It's too much. And I look at that and it's a damn shame to me, because it's like, had she taken this stance at the right time, I don't think it would be a problem. I think if she waited, let's say, a month and a half after the movie was released and blowing up in theaters and all that stuff, then it would be perfect. It'd be perfectly fine. Yes, you'd still have your haters. You still have your people who are pissed off about it, but at least you would know your movie made its money, and you've garnered a following of some sort, and now you have people who are going to be definitely showing up to the sequel and all that crap. So, timing is everything. And it's just upsetting that she said all these comments leading up to her damn movie. That's her moment, and I won't say she ruined it, but she's definitely hindered it. So, come on. Let's be real. And the things, right now in popular culture and in movies especially, you're seeing a lot of inclusivity. You're seeing a lot of, diverse types of representation in movies and films, and not even just diversity, but you're seeing diversity sort of packaged in a different way, sort of brought to you. Like for instance, we've always had female leading roles in superheroes and action stars and things like that. We've had that since forever. I think back to Terminator and all those movies, and even Lara Croft and Tomb Raider and all that. You've had that, but now in this climate, in this day and age, it seems more like it's more for a reason. Like, it's more for a political reason. It's not like a bunch of guys were sitting around thinking, man, women can't star in movies, So it does suck to sort of feel like you're being accused left and right if you're a male who's an enthusiast of these types of action movies. Like, you were part of the problem, And I understand that that's also attributed to a sort of defensive complex where you sort of feel like you have to defend yourself just because someone's calling out others, and you're worried that they might sort of lump you in. But I just feel like, whether it's good or bad, it's definitely affected this culture and movies as a whole. It's probably not going to last for long. When we look at it, there's some things you can kind of look at from afar and be like, why are you doing this? Like the Ghostbusters reboot. I was a fan of Ghostbusters when I was a kid. Watching it as an adult, I can definitely say that I look back on it and I think, this, it's not that it's bad or nothing, but it's not nearly as good as it was to me when I was a kid. When I was a kid, Ghostbusters was like a great Shakespearean tale of awesomeness. You know what I mean? Like, it was as a kid watching Ghostbusters, this is a perfect movie. This is the greatest thing written, And just, like I said, just watching it, if I watch it on Netflix or whatever, and I'm just like, damn, this shit is stupid. This shit is so dumb. Like, what was I smoking as a kid? Damn. And I feel like that, knowing that, I shouldn't have been very critical of the Ghostbusters reboot. However, because it's a sequel, whether it had all girls or all boys in it, it didn't matter to me much. I know it mattered to a lot of people, but it didn't matter to me. What mattered to me was, can you capture that same childlike enthusiasm from me by this movie? Because think about who you're making the movie for. You're making it for the new generation of kids who watch movies, or you're making it for the nostalgic crowd who saw it as kids, or who are you making this movie for? Is it for both? And if it is for both, what in the hell makes you think you can appeal to both? Let's be real. And I feel like after watching it, that it didn't even know what it was trying to do, honestly. And it felt like, nothing against the women who are in it, because I love some Kristen Wiig. And I can't even think of her name right now, but I love her from SNL. But yeah, not Leslie Jones. Leslie Jones sort of gets on my nerves most of the time, but she did okay. She did her part. Kate McKinnon. That's who it is. That's what I'm thinking of. I love Kate McKinnon. She's hilarious. I just didn't feel like the movie was anything more than a B, a solid B, which is fine, I guess. But if you're waiting for a movie to have a sequel for years and years and years, you want it to be an A. You need that movie to branch out and be an A. And especially if you have a movie that's not only a reboot, but it's a reboot with women, so it's not even really a sequel. So it's like, you have a reboot, which nobody asked for. Everybody asked for a sequel, and for whatever reason, they couldn't successfully put together a sequel, and then one of the actors died. Was it Harold Ramis? Or, someone died. One of the main four died. And that messed up things. So, you can't just swap out the men and put in women and expect all the men to watch it and be, satisfied with it. And I know a lot of people probably think, well, why not? It's the same damn thing. Why are you complaining just because you see women? That's the nature of hateful people at the end of the day. And also, people don't want to see repackages. People want to see sequels, or they don't want to see anything outside of what they originally saw. They want it to be left alone. This whole notion that a new thing kills or ruins your childhood or kills the original property is bullshit. I don't agree with it, but I do understand why people who want to see genuinely a sequel to something or a passing of the torch or something like that would be pissed off to see a reboot. So I get that. And I say all that because that's part of this not part of the Me Too culture, but part of the women can do anything. Girls can do anything. Sort of rebranded culture that you're seeing spark up today, which I think is great for the most part, but I don't think it's great in the execution. I don't think it's great to just point fingers at people and blame people of things, all the time, especially without proof, like we're seeing a lot of lately. And I also don't think it's good to see a lot of people getting these replacement type movies, these replacement reboots. Like I won't call it a reboot, but Ocean's was the last one? Ocean's something, Ocean 7, Ocean's 8. I can't remember the name of it, but it's the all-female reboot of Ocean's 11 franchise. And I don't really have that big of a problem with it because I think it was sort of in continuation. But whenever you do these types of movies, whether it's a reboot or a soft reboot, and you just replace the males with the females, and it's like you have to be prepared with the hate. You have to be prepared to get that hate from the males, because a lot of them don't realize that what's being done doesn't really destroy the thing that they like. They do realize it and they're just jumping to conclusions, but for whatever the reason, they're going to hate, and you're going to have to expect it. And if you can't overcome it, then maybe you shouldn't even do it. Like at the end of the day, if it's not going to be the big blockbuster hit that it should be, maybe don't do it. Or I could be wrong. Maybe they do it for the whole sake of creating a stepping stone, so that in the future there'll be plenty of these movies where there's not only just one female lead, but there's teams. There's like a whole supporting cast or ensemble cast of ladies who take it, and these movies gross over $1 billion, and everyone's happy and no one's complaining. So maybe they're just paving the way, and old timers like me, are just not ready for it yet or whatever. But I feel like you need to make it sensible. Like, so to me, Captain Marvel is sensible. It's a starring character who stars in her own various different comic books and gets her own starring movie, so it makes sense. What you don't want to do is get a character who's not important, and then say, here's a movie, go about your business, do your thing. Fortunately, I'm not seeing a whole lot of that yet, but I think back to like maybe when Elektra came out back in, was it 2004, 2003? I can't remember when it came out, but I don't remember it being like this massive hit or anything. It might have been a bomb for all I can remember, but that's what you want to get away from that. Those are the type of things that need to just be TV shows, And bottom line, someone like Brie Larson, she knew her place. Her place is to be a voice for many girls and women out there who feel that they're being slighted, for people of color who think they're being slighted. She knew her place. She took action based on what she believed in her heart to be the right thing to do. I credit that. I respect that. But for the long term, you have to think there's a bigger picture than just what you want. Personal politics, and I don't even call that politics, just personal humanity aside, you got to think about business. And the reason why is because Brie Larson's an individual, and she can stand up for all the people she would stand up for. She can stand up for me and all minorities, and women, and she can stand up as much as she wants to. But if none of us can have her back, if none of us can provide for her, then she needs to take that into account and be like, you know what, I'm going to keep this to myself until the right time, and then I'm going to say it, and then I'm going to get my point across, and that'll be the better thing to do, and the more gratifying response and timing. So yeah, that's where I stand on that, I guess. And hopefully this movie does great, because I'm excited. I'm seeing it tonight, and I'm expecting that a lot of people are steering clear from the theaters, and they're like, I don't want to see Captain Marvel. She hates white males. But if it's great, then I'm going to be happy. I don't even feel like I'm excited about the character as much as I am the tie into the next Avengers movie. I hope that's the reason why I feel like with me going in with such low expectations just makes me even more excited, as weird as that sounds, because it just makes me feel like, well, as low as my expectations are, I know the chances of it surpassing it are going to be great. So yeah. So next I want to get into this R.Kelly interview that happened a day or two ago. I think it was yesterday. It was Gayle King interviewing R.Kelly on CBS, their morning show, and he's emphatically denying that he's done any of the things that she's accused. Not, she didn't accuse him of anything. If anything, he's being accused of. And it gets to the point where he gets very emotional. He starts yelling. He gets out of his chair and is pointing and yelling, and a lot of people are looking at that like, oh my, you know, congratulations to Gayle for sitting still during all this and for keeping her composure and keeping calm and everything. And I'm like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Like, did you think that R. Kelly was going to hit her? Was she supposed to be afraid that he was going to hit her on TV? You know what I mean? Like, it just seems to me like a lot of the responses are from people who are like, you know, I really thought that she was in danger. And it's like overreaction type shit. It's like, okay, I get what you're saying. I get that this guy is, for whatever reason, however you want to dice it up and look at it, is a piece of shit. I get it. I get that you see it that way. I see it that way. I don't know to the extent how much is true, how much is false, but enough of the truth that we do know definitely makes it look like there's not much wiggle room for a defense in R. Kelly's case. And what I mean by that is, I don't know if these people who recently came forward and said that R. Kelly abused them, I don't know if it's true. None of us know if it's true unless we were there or were those people. You feel me? So I look at that and I say, okay, do I need to? Does it need to be something that's provable for me to even give a shit? And the answer is no. And the reason why is because we already know that he pissed on a girl who was underage, and we already know he married Aaliyah when she was 15. So I feel like that's enough evidence for us to sort of come to our own conclusion and decide whether or not R. Kelly is a good guy, a bad guy, a flawed guy, whatever, you know. And I'm not saying that I'm an advocate of judging other people. All I'm saying, these are public figures, and when their activities and behaviors become public, they are at the mercy of public opinion, unfortunately or fortunately, however you depend to look at it. Whatever you choose to look at it. I don't really, so him standing and yelling and emphatically denying that he's ever slept with any underage girls, I think that's what Gayle asked him. I think she asked him, have you even had sex with any underage girls? And he said no. And that, when he said that, I felt like, just personally, like he was insulting my intelligence, because I'm thinking, dude, you were married to a 15-year-old, and you mean to tell me that you thought that it was cool to marry a 15-year-old, but you didn't think it was cool to have sex with her? I'm supposed to understand that logic, and I don't understand that logic. I'm supposed to believe that you pissed on an underage girl, but you didn't think that it was okay to sleep with her. You feel me? I'm not buying into his logic if he's trying to get us to buy into what he's selling there. That he would have been better off just saying no comment and then just sort of like mumbling or something, because emphatically denying it and yelling and crying and all that, it was like, dude, the thing that you're disagreeing to and saying that, you know, everyone's trying to ruin your life and fuck up your whole life. I listened to that and I'm like, dude, you fucked up your life. Dude, you had the opportunity. Think about this. And I know this is something that a lot of people have said, you know, since the dawning of time. You have all this money. You have all the opportunity in the world. You You got all this money and all this opportunity, and you fuck it up by making bad decisions, right? And now you want a free pass. You want someone to just look at it and be like, you're just human. You make mistakes. La-di-da. Get over it. That's how you want us all to look at it. But you don't get that. Hell, the people who don't have money, who are not known by the public, don't get that. So if you're to be afforded some sort of preferential treatment, it shouldn't be by the public, because you have not done shit to earn that. You have not done anything to earn me to say, okay, to look the other way on this. I do have a sort of unorthodox way of viewing this, though, because I don't just view R.Kelly as wrong. I also do view minors as wrong for sleeping with older people. So I look at it like both parties are wrong if they're doing it by choice, obviously. If a 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old is choosing to have sex with an adult, right, they're still wrong, if they know it's illegal, assuming they know it's illegal, Even if they don't know it's illegal, if you're just having sex and you're not even an adult yet, that, as long as if it's not consensual and it's not with someone your age, then you're probably not doing something right. I feel like everyone should know that. And I'm not saying this because I think that R. Kelly needs to be cut some slack. I really don't. I just feel like this society needs to look at the bigger issue right now. There are issues that are bigger than R. Kelly pertaining to what he did. And what he did was, what's the actual word for it? Whether it's molestation or pedophilia or whatever, there's a bigger, broader issue here, which is that these kids, not necessarily just the ones who he slept with and did things with, if he did sleep with them, it's also the fact that these kids think that it's okay. You know what I'm saying? And they're not the only, not just the kids who had sex with R. Kelly, if they did think that it's okay, but also many others. If you went up to a kid and asked, hey, if you had the opportunity to have sex with such and such famous person, would you? How many dudes who are minors would be like, hell yeah? You feel me? Like how many would just sit there and be like, yeah, let's do it. I would fucking do it. I mean, because I'm just thinking from my own fucking perspective. If I was a 14-year-old being asked, would you fuck Rihanna or something like that, I would be like, yeah, yeah, I would do that. If given the opportunity. And as a 14-year-old, I had no business having sex with anybody. So if I would say that at 14, you can only imagine what people who are getting laid at 14 are saying. You feel me? Those 14-year-olds are like, why would you even ask that question? Of course I would. Yeah. So, and that's a bigger issue, I think, is because you need to preach to these kids and teach these kids that, yeah, just because you can have sex and just because you can choose to have sex doesn't mean you should try to have sex with anyone that you're attracted to, or, anyone that you think is appealing to you and all that type of stuff. Because then you end up with, if you don't teach this and you don't beat this into the heads of kids and adolescents, then you end up with kids who think it's perfectly fine to go home with such and such person because such and such person is funny. Such and such person makes a lot of money. Such and such person is appealing to me. I don't care that they're over my age range and all that type of stuff. I want to do this, blah, blah, blah. And that shit is scary, You can just look at all the things that R. Kelly's being accused of and be like, damn, if that was my daughter, if those were my daughters and things like that, like, shit, man, can that happen can that happen to my kid? You gotta actually thinking, have I taken enough action to ensure that something like this wouldn't happen to my own child? Like, you gotta think of that type of stuff. And I'm a parent. I have one child, and he's not even 2 yet. But I gotta think, what are the things that I have to teach this kid before he becomes an adolescent? What do I have to teach him? Is it okay to bang everything that moves? No, it's not. Should you have restraint? Yes, you should. And I don't look at that as victim blaming. I look at that as preparing your child for success in life, and protecting your child from deviants and predators and things like that. That is something that needs to happen. So people need to get off of this boat of you can't point any fingers at, minors who choose to have sex with celebrities and things like that. My thing is, you can point the finger. You can point the finger at all sides. No one is right unless they're being taken advantage of. You know what I'm saying? Completely. And that's the reason why I look at that like we need to stop being afraid to talk about that. We need to get to a point where we can actually create a discussion and conversation around these girls, particularly mostly, who are being taken advantage of by these guys. And in the case of Michael Jackson, which I'm about to talk about, these boys, who it sounds like, I don't know the truth, but on the surface, it sounds like these boys were taken advantage of by Michael Jackson. On the surface. Will we ever know? Maybe not. Maybe we'll never know. Maybe we'll never see any type of actual undisputed evidence that he actually did these things. Maybe we'll never see that. But in the case of Michael Jackson, to me, the reason why all of that information was so stupid, there was a documentary about Michael Jackson. I did not watch it. I did not want to watch it, to be honest. Excuse me. And the reason I didn't want to watch it was because I listened to so many stories since I was a kid about Michael Jackson. I'm only 33, but when I was a kid, there would be so many stories that other kids would talk about when it came to Michael Jackson. People would say that, he raped little boys and things like that. And everyone knows these stories. Everyone's heard these stories. And it got to the point where the more you heard it, the more it created questions. And I say but in my mind, that if he was doing all these things, wouldn't there be some sort of real, unavoidable, undisputed proof that he was definitely doing these things? Like, wouldn't there be no way around it, no way to deny it? And that always bugged me, is the fact that I don't think that they ever really provided that much proof. However, I will say this. I believe that they definitely provided enough proof to show that Michael Jackson was a dumbass. Michael Jackson was a severe dumbass. He didn't have anyone in his crew stop him from doing stupid shit like having little boys over his house over the night, spending the night with him in his bed and things like that. He was a dumbass. I'm not sitting here saying that he was a dumbass as in no one in his life helped contribute to his dumbassery. I'm just saying that he is a dumbass. He should have known better. You don't invite little boys over to your house. Look at it from this perspective. If he's completely innocent, if he did nothing wrong, if he didn't touch any of these boys inappropriately, and he never, did anything of the sort, right? Never even flirted with them, never did a damn thing, never exposed himself to them, never had them expose themselves to him, nothing. If he did nothing wrong, he still chose to do something that just by pure optics was completely and utterly stupid. And for that reason alone, he left himself open to not only public opinion's judgment of him, but legal issues that not only would affect him, but his future family and current family and all that stuff. So that's what the reason why I look at that and I say, Michael Jackson, you dumbass. I know he's dead. Rest in peace. We should not speak ill of the dead, but let's just call a spade a spade. He's a dumbass for that. He's a dumbass. There's no reason why he would do that. And to the families who allowed their children to spend the night at Michael Jackson's home numerous times and all this kind of stuff, and people who knew that he was eccentric, because Michael Jackson was eccentric by all accounts. He was definitely eccentric. He seemed borderline recluse to a lot of people, I'm sure. But for no one, for the parents to even allow it, shows really flawed judgment on their part. And a lot of people were saying that if I watch this documentary, which I refuse to watch because to me it's still propaganda and it's still talking negatively about a man who can't defend himself, which is what I'm doing right now. But at the same time, at least what I'm saying about Michael Jackson borders on the facts, what we know about him. I'm not speaking on whether or not he did anything that I know of, because I was not there, thankfully. I did not know. If I was there and I saw anything inappropriate, I wouldn't beat his ass because I wouldn't want to go to prison, but I'd pull those kids out of those situations, obviously. So I'm not speaking ill on him based on the speculation. I'm speaking ill on him based on the facts, the things that he chose to do. And those things were stupid. For that reason alone, he has tarnished his own legacy, that even in death, people are still talking bad about this man and making money, I'm guessing, off of documentaries that speak ill on this man. That is fucked up, man. You got to look at your own self and see, dude, if anyone listen out there, if anyone is attracted to a little kid, and is not a kid themselves, turn your fucking self into a fucking therapist and get some help. Like, seriously, get some serious fucking help. You need it, and I feel bad that any of these kids who, whether they were touched or not, because this is how I look at it. If a kid was touched inappropriately by Michael Jackson, obviously I feel bad for him. But imagine the kids who, if they were not touched by Michael Jackson, were being used by their parents to go after Michael Jackson and his money and all that shit. I feel bad for them too. You feel me? Like, that's pretty shitty to have to, know that your parents would use you to make money, and we've seen kids be exploited for a lot of things, but that's gotta be one of the most disgusting things to use your kid for, to exploit your child for. I can almost understand, because I've been someone who's an advocate of saying, use your child to make money off of them, in the sense of teaching them a craft or a trade that will make them filthy rich. So, like, for instance, I want my child to become a field goal kicker, because I feel like there's not a whole lot of stress in the life of a field goal kicker. You're just kicking, you know what I'm saying? You're just kicking field goals, especially if you're on a shitty team. And that's my dream for my son, is to be the first epically popular black kicker in the NFL on one of the shittiest teams, so he never has to be in that high pressure scenario in the Super Bowl where you're down by 1 point and there's 1 second left on the clock, and he kicks the field goal and misses, and the whole city hates him and sends him death threats. You see, I don't want him to have to go through that. So I want him to be on the shittiest team possible, and I want him to be the greatest kicker who ever lived. You feel me? There's a lot of money in that, and the reason why I like that is because obviously he can trickle down some of that money my way. I'm just saying, if I, maybe he hates me through childhood and adolescence, and then when he's in his 20s, he's like, you know what, Dad? All those days you forced me to learn how to kick. Now I'm a great kicker, and I'm filthy stinking rich, and every team in the league wants me, and now I'm gonna give you some dough because I respect the game that you played here. I respect it. That's the only time where I can actually say, exploit your kids. That's it. When it comes to the parents making money off of teaching the child something respectable. But when we're talking about, if this is even the case, children going out there and speaking, accusing people of things that they didn't do, if that's what happened, that's fucked up, and that can't be tolerated. But the problem is, Michael Jackson was so eccentric, Michael Jackson was so weird, that none of us sit here and question whether or not it's possible that he could have done those things. Even the people who defend MJ the most, even the ones who say Michael Jackson, could never have done these things, could never have done those things. I believe firmly that deep down they believe it's possible that he might have been attracted to little kids, because he was just that weird, and it's just a strange thing to do as an adult, to get a theme park in your backyard and invite a bunch of little kids over your house and sleep in the same bed with them and all that kind of stuff. Strangers, you know what I'm saying? So it just doesn't add up. It doesn't pass the bullshit smelling test. He opened himself up to that type of criticism, if he's completely innocent or not. You see? And that's the reason why I say, regardless of the case, he's a dumbass. And much like R.Kelly, if R.Kelly, I don't know if I want to hear with R.Kelly yet, but if R.Kelly did not have sex with any of those minors, right, that he was befriending or whatever you call it, living with, whatever, then guess what? He's a dumbass too. He's an epic dumbass. And the reason why is because you pissed on one of them and you married one of them. So just by those two facts, you're a dumbass. If everything else is a lie, you're still a dumbass. And I'm not going to sit here and say you deserve everything that's coming your way. If you're innocent, I'll just say that you left yourself open to experience everything that's coming your way, which is, I don't know how you might look at it, but just as worse. Just as bad, I guess, So, yeah. as far as R. Kelly and MJ go, dudes, Michael Jackson's dead. He doesn't have to deal with this bullshit anymore. He had a legendary career. People love him for what he brought to the table as a pop musician and dancer and entertainer in general. But there's an asterisk by his life, by his legacy, and how he's going to be remembered. He will, for a while, be remembered for the controversies and the scandals and all this this childish, child-related type stuff. So R. Kelly needs to think about that, because R. Kelly is someone who I believe worked with Michael Jackson at one point. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. I thought he might have produced a Michael Jackson song or something. I don't remember. But regardless, he saw it. He saw it all happen like the rest of us. And now his career. No one's talking about R. Kelly the musician. Nobody's talking about R. Kelly the entertainer. Not talking about Trapped in the Closet. Nobody's talking about Fiesta or Ignition. We're not talking about Bump and Grind or I Believe I Can Fly. We're not talking about World's Greatest. We're not talking about him as a hit maker. We're talking about him as an abuser, as someone who's possibly a pedophile and shit like that. Like, he has tarnished his legacy. Like, when you hear the name R. Kelly, you think of the fact that he pissed on a girl. That's what you think of. You don't think of the hits. And you also got to remember, a lot of these people who don't like R. Kelly never knew his hits to begin with. So imagine that. Imagine if the only thing you're known for is things like rape and pedophilia and things like that. Imagine that, Like, do you really want that attached to your name? Hell no. So, not worth it. Definitely, he should have thought about it, and it sucks to be him right now. I don't even know what to think, because he actually just got arrested today. What I read, off of unpaid child support. Unpaid child support. Like, that just makes me think of the Al Capone stories, of how they got him on tax stuff. Like not paying his taxes or tax fraud or something. And it's like, instead of getting him on the gangster shit that he was doing back in the 30s or 40s, they got him on the tax shit. That's how I view this R. Kelly gotten on the child support stuff. It's like, dude, this is why you can't fuck up. There's no room for you to fuck up. You're not perfect. None of us is perfect. And imagine if any of us do something fucking stupid and we think that we're fucking bulletproof and we're Teflon, and then they just catch us on a fucking traffic violation or something stupid, right? That's what, shit's happened to them. You were stupid, you were a dumbass, and now you're paying for it. They're going to find any and every excuse to lock your ass up. It's just a shame though, because it's like, I just look at the success. I look at the opportunity and the money. And as someone who, I don't have money, man. I don't have money, and I don't have these opportunities. And I look at this shit and I go, damn, you suck. Like, you really suck. You blew it. Like, I look at them like they let me down, And what I mean by that is, I don't look at them like they were heroes of mine or nothing. But I look at them like, you guys had an opportunity. You had an opportunity to set the example for other people, or to even just give us someone to look at and be proud of, or someone to look at and be like, I'm happy for you. And you fucked that up, And people, we're talking about two guys, R. Kelly and Michael Jackson, who were at the top. At the top. When it comes to R&B, you could only hope to achieve the success that R. Kelly did. You could only dream of it, for most R&B musicians. For Michael Jackson, in the world of pop, you can't even dream to be as big as Michael Jackson was. Who the hell was bigger than Michael Jackson? Elvis Presley is the only name that comes to mind when you think of someone, and he's not, I don't even consider Elvis pop. I consider Elvis like blues and maybe I don't even know what the fuck I consider Elvis, but definitely blues. He's the king, and no one was bigger than him. And Michael Jackson, since Michael Jackson, no one is bigger than, let's look at it like this. The closest any pop star has come to Michael Jackson since Michael Jackson is probably a tie between, and we're talking pop stars here, a tie between Britney Spears, Lady Gaga, and maybe a three-way tie, and like Taylor Swift. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, and none of those three were as big as Michael Jackson. They're huge. The three that I just named were huge. Lady Gaga, Britney Spears, Taylor Swift, they got buttloads of money. So for him to be that famous, as famous as you could possibly be, and to have that fucked up of a legacy, just fucking throw in the towel, give up, you know. But yeah, I'm off it. That's just awful. All this shit. I don't want to see another R.Kelly interview. I don't want to hear about another Michael Jackson documentary. They're just two men whose legacies are that they fucked up a great thing. But what I want to get into right now is the LeBron James versus Michael Jordan debate. Yesterday night, LeBron James surpassed Michael Jordan in the all-time scoring list. I can't remember what number he surpassed him on, but he still has a ways to go if he's ever going to get I think it's Kareem who's at the top. So yeah, I don't think it's likely. I don't know. Maybe he will. Who knows? I don't remember what the numbers are, so it could be likely, could not be. But it brought to question the ever-going, never-ending LeBron James versus Michael Jordan debate. I love the debate. I am in love with the debate. It is stupid to some degree, and I love it. It's stupid, and I love it. And the reason I love it is because it can truly, if you're being real and you're not being a hater, it can be argued from different angles. I grew up, just a little background, I grew up in the 90s as a kid. And I didn't watch basketball in the 90s except for a few games that were maybe on network TV during the playoffs, or like when my dad was bored and was watching a game on a rare occasion, because he's not even a big basketball guy, he's a big football guy. Or the rare occasion that my dad had a friend over, or my uncles were over and they were watching basketball, or I was over at their houses. Those were the only occasions that I watched basketball. And in those few occasions that I'm sure added up over a period of time, I saw quite a bit of Chicago Bulls games. And in a weird way, it probably is why I don't like Michael Jordan. It's as weird as that, or I didn't like Michael Jordan, because he was so dominant in the 90s. He was so good. He was so nice. His skill was better than everyone else's. You know, he was so on top of his game. He was annoying to watch for me as a kid. Let me tell you how great Michael Jordan was. Michael Jordan was so great that I didn't even know as a kid growing up in Maryland that the Washington Bullets were an NBA team. The Chicago Bulls were so great. The dynasty was so great that I did not know that my local team was actually a professional team. That's how great they were and how shitty my team was. Okay? He was great. He could do it all. He wasn't a great three-point shooter. He wasn't awful, and you know what I'm saying? And he could do everything. He was a great defender. He was a great offensive player, great scorer, great mind. He was, just all around great. And people use the 6 championship rings, the 6 championship victories. They use that all the time whenever they compare Michael Jordan to anybody. They say 6 rings, blah, 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 6 championships. And it's partially the reason why it's still a great argument is because he led those teams to those championships. It's not because it's not that he got it he didn't get it single-handedly. No one that I can think of since I've been watching football, since I've been alive, has won an NBA championship just by his lonesome with no good supporting cast at all, and so that needs to be taken into consideration. Now, the reason why this debate between LeBron James and Michael Jordan is so good to me is because I look at them from 2 different perspectives. They play 2 different positions. They have 2 different styles of play. One is a scorer. One is more of a facilitator. One is, it's so great. I like to always play devil's advocate, since most of the people that I know, a best friend of mine who passed away a few years ago as well, also strongly, firmly held that MJ is the best and that there is no debate. Brian don't even debate it. He would get mad at me. We get into arguments. He'd literally get so mad that he'd probably want to go inside his home and just not even talk to me. It was so, we would get in some heated debates. and other people that I know feel pretty much exactly the same way. But the way I see it is they had two different roads to their success. Michael Jordan, by the time he got Scottie Pippen, by the time Scottie Pippen was on his team, was pretty much in a dynasty. That's how that works. He was, before Scottie, he was already a superstar on the road to becoming individually one of, if not the greatest basketball player of all time. So even in the 80s, even before Pippen, was even on his team, he was already on the track to do something much greater than anybody else. And people acknowledged it and people respected it. And, and of course later came the shoes and all this stuff. It was so written all over the world. Everyone knew, so it's a whole different animal. LeBron had the unfortunate position of being endlessly compared to Michael Jordan from the time he got out of high school, maybe even while he was in high school, So the comparisons hurt him, definitely. But both were in different situations. Michael Jordan was fortunate enough to get Scottie Pippen and Phil Jackson, his head coach. Not every player, most players in the NBA, most players in the history of any sport are not lucky enough to get another top 15 player on their team and arguably one of the greatest coaches to ever live to coach their team. So it came with a lot of luck for Michael Jordan to see the success that he had. And I don't hold those two things against LeBron James. So LeBron James spending his first 7 seasons or so, I believe, on the Cavs and not even winning a championship. He went to a championship and got destroyed by the San Antonio Spurs before he left Cleveland. But I do not hold the lack of championships in the first 7 years against LeBron James. So all you have right there are great stats versus great stats. If we look at both of their careers before they ever won championships, great stats versus great stats. LeBron James is obviously not better than MJ when it came to scoring and not better at MJ when it came to even defense. But LeBron James in his prime was a great defender and a great scorer. He's not as good as MJ, but still great in both categories. And the thing that he has over MJ was he was great at assists, and he still is, right? So that works to his favor. So he goes to the Heat. He wins 2 championships with the Heat, goes to 4 straight, loses the first, wins 2 in a row, and then loses the last in Miami. So people hold that against him. Now this is where I jump on the pro MJ train, where I say, yeah, dude lost 2 finals, right, on the Miami Heat. I most definitely hold those against my LeBron James, because, like I said, Jordan is undefeated in the finals, right? Jordan went to the finals when he had Scottie Pippen and Phil Jackson and did not lose. Every time he went to the finals in his prime, he back to back to back, then he retired, then back to back to back, and then he retired. So again, that obviously is going to be a hard act to follow. And because of that, LeBron James has fallen short of following it. But because of the responsibilities of LeBron James, he's not asked to do all that MJ was asked to do. He was not asked to take over the game all the time. He wasn't asked to basically be this unstoppable force. This guy who doesn't allow series to get to game 7. This guy who doesn't lose 3 in a row. This guy who's otherworldly. The guy that Michael Jordan was. So when we talk about greatest of all time, we got to look at careers. And Michael Jordan's career was epic. It was amazing, right? And LeBron James's career is epic and amazing, but difference. And the difference is the storyline behind LeBron James's career is so much more entertaining to watch. It is so much more entertaining. For Michael Jordan, it was so dominant. By the time that it was dominant, it wasn't really that the storyline was not entertaining. It really wasn't. The looking in awe, the watching him in awe, the spectacle of it, that was all the interest. Everything that's interesting about the Chicago Bulls in the 90s and Michael Jordan is the spectacle. Everything. The whole thing is the show. It's the circus. It's the how many ways can he defeat all these other players? Because you got to look at his competition during that time was a lot of one megastar player on a team, per team. So it's like you had your Reggie Miller, you had your Patrick Ewing, you had your Charles Barkley, you had your Shaquille O'Neal. It was the one megastar, right? Who, Shaq had Penny, but it wasn't like Penny was at the same level. We all know Shaq was 1, right? Penny was 2, And you can even look at Michael Jordan and Scottie and say the same damn thing. But the difference was he was on a team that could go to the playoffs without him and did, a team that could even go potentially far in the playoffs without him. That's, you can't bat an eye. You can't overlook that. You can't just say, well, it's just, they were a mediocre team. They were okay. No, the Chicago Bulls in the 90s, even without Michael Jordan, were a force to be reckoned with. They were still a team. They were still a genuine squad. That is talent, right? With a coach who is the greatest, one of, if not the greatest coach in NBA history. I'm sure a lot of people say Pop, but that's fine. I'm not going to argue that. That's not the debate. So I look at that and I can't hold that against LeBron James, because how the hell is it his fault that he's on the Cavs for like 7 years, right? And chooses to stay there, and that's fine. He knew what he was getting himself into. When he was in his prime, I wouldn't say the prime, when he was on the Cavs at one point, at a few points, the second best player on his team was Mo frickin' Williams. Mo Williams, Now, we don't even have to look in the annals of history to try to see where does Mo Williams compare to Scottie Pippen. I mean, let's just say it's not even worth the fact that I said that in a sentence, in a question. You probably want to slap me through the fucking speakers, like, dude, no, don't even say it, So by the time LeBron finally, got with D Wade and Chris Bosh in Miami, you got to finally see what LeBron could do with the squad. So everything in Miami I hold against LeBron or in his favor. And I look at that and I say, okay, we have a championship, 2 championships won in Miami. Then he came back to Cleveland, right? Which was ill-advised because they burned his jersey and talked so much shit about him over the decision that I just felt like, dude, don't ever go back to Cleveland. Ever. Don't ever do that. They don't deserve you. He goes back to Cleveland and he tries, and he has to deal with Kevin Love, I believe, and Kyrie Irving being injured. As soon as he gets back to Cleveland, they have a good season. They have a great season. They get to the finals, and they lose in the finals to the Golden State Warriors, who are just in the beginning of their domination, just the beginning of their dynasty. And it was like, damn, man. And he came within, I think they won like, I think that he won like, I want to say 2 games or so. It took him 6 games, right? So I think, so he won 2. So good. Without Kyrie and Kevin Love. So, I can't hold it against him that he lost that first one. Then you have the season after that. This is the story. This, to me, is what makes the argument worthy. The season that the Golden State Warriors go on a tear and have the best regular season in NBA history. That's the season that LeBron beats them in the finals with his squad that is no longer injured, and they come and they put it out there, man. And not only do they win in Oracle. They win on the Golden State Warriors home court, right? You can't hold that against them. So I look at that, I'm like, damn, dude, that you just revived the debate, right? It was great. So now you have a guy who's won 2 championships in LeBron James on 2 separate teams as the leader of the team, as the guy who drives the team, right? So Michael Jordan's won 6 with a great squad, right? With a great coach and competition that consists of 1 megastar per team type teams, right? Let's be real. Let's call it what it is, And then you have LeBron James, who's now won on 2 separate franchises with two really good squads as well, right? So now I look at all this and I ask myself, if LeBron James were to win a third NBA championship on the Lakers, his third be the Lakers or any other team, would the debate be strengthened? And the answer is obviously, in my opinion, yes. The debate would be obviously strengthened and more effective if he were to, in LA, win another championship. Because then he could say, I won not only in the Eastern Conference, I won in the Western Conference. And yes, Shaq can say the same because he won in Miami and he won in LA. But LeBron will be the first one to say that not only did I win two on two different franchises, or not only did I win two in two different franchises, right, as the leading player, as the leader of the team, the guy who the team has ran around, but I also won another one. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's so fucking cool. I won two in the East. I led it. I won one in the West where I led it. Now I've won three. You know, I think total would be four. You won 4 championships on 3 different franchises. That is fucking amazing. That is more impressive. I don't care what you say. And this is not taking a shot at any MJ fan or MJ himself. He is a legend. He is the greatest individual player to have played the game, in my opinion. But when we're talking about greatest of all time, we are talking about careers. We're talking about stories. And the story around LeBron, the career of LeBron James, in my opinion, if he were to win just one more championship and it be on a different franchise, I would say that he has equated Michael Jordan. So, all that talk that people have, 6 is better than 3, and things like that, where it's like, no shit, dude. Obviously 6 is better than 3, but you know, you got to look at the big picture. You got to look at everything. You got to look at the coach. You got to look at the teammates. You got to look at the competition. You know, you can't just look at the stats. The stats do not tell the entire story. There's so many of Michael Jordan's stats where, yes, it does show his greatness. It still doesn't tell the whole story. There are people who can help him get shots. You know, his percentage could be so high because he had such a great help on his team. You know, he was such a threat, man. And I'm not saying that he couldn't do this on his own, but Michael Jordan was never placed on shit. He was never placed on a shit team. He was never placed on a team as bad as the Cavaliers were the year that LeBron James, the last year that he was there before he went to Miami. Michael Jordan was not on a team that shitty and took them to the finals ever. You know, he never did that. That's my burp, sorry. So yeah, I look at that and I say, factor it all in and let's be real about it at the end of the day. It's worthy of debate. It doesn't matter which side you pick, but just be fair, be honest about it. All right. So I want to get into what I'm calling the Batshit Crazy Award. And the Batshit Crazy Award needs to go to and will go to the dumbest, shittiest, just the craziest, the silliest, the disgustingest, most bizarre, just bullshitty, just like, why are you so stupid? Why, you know, that guy, the guy is just so crazy, so stupid, so out of their rocker. You're like, why? And the Batshit Crazy Award this week, it has to go to this guy from Germany. His name is Bernard Grauman, I think his last name is. He's 59. He was found dead in his bed at home. Now, Bernard was a gardener, and he had problems with various people. He had issues with these people. I don't know what they were. I didn't delve deep into the story, but long story short is, before he died, allegedly, he left booby trap bombs for some of the people he had problems with. And one of the people who he left these booby traps for killed himself when coming across one of these booby traps. This dude is sick. This dude is fucking stupid and crazy. And I'm glad, I don't want to say I'm glad he's dead, but for someone to be a murderer, I feel like I'm glad he's dead. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to say it, but I had to say it. You know, he gets the Batshit Crazy Award of this week. Bernard Grauman, you are a piece of shit. I know I say you're not supposed to speak ill of the dead, but when you kill people and you want to die being someone who killed people, I have to reserve the Batshit Crazy Award for you, because you could have just, went silently in that good night. And I don't know. He might not have killed himself. I don't know what he might have, got a heart attack for all I know. I don't fucking know. But if he is actually responsible for these things that they're saying, that they think that he did, then yes, you are as fucking batshit crazy as I'm accusing you of. And regardless, you're getting this award. So that's how I'm going to leave that. And with all that said, that is the end of the very first BATrocity podcast episode. Thank you so much. Please come back next week for some more of this. I'm going to give it to you. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And that's all. Bye.